Good morning and welcome to Story Time. Thank you so much for joining in today. I hope you are ready for Her Right Foot. And this one is written by Dave Eggers and illustrated by Shawn Harris. And yes, if those names sound familiar, of course, as we should know them by now, but also they brought us yesterday's book, What Can a Citizen Do? So do join in for this one, Her Right Foot. And I hope you're ready and excited just as I am. Yes, Her Right Foot. Happy Friday to you and welcome to Storytime today. Thank you so much for joining in. Let us enjoy it and I wish you a great rest of the day, of course. But we have this special moment together. Let's enjoy it. A great book at hand and we're about to have some laughs and just learn and keep learning. Please keep learning. Never stop looking for information to better ourselves. Good morning to you and welcome to Storytime. Thank you so much for joining in. Good to see everyone joining in. I will give it a few minutes and then we'll be getting started. And of course, if you're at Emerson, you know that there's the Halloween parade happening today. Great. Thank you so much for joining in. I hope everybody enjoys it. And I hope whatever you're doing, if you do celebrate Halloween, enjoy it. Or if not, please, I hope you still find great joy in this life. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime today. Welcome to Storytime. Happy Friday. Her Right Foot. And this one is written by Dave Eggers and art or illustrations by Shawn Harris. I am so glad to be here and sharing this one today. There's lots to learn. Thank you so much for joining in. Let us see who is with us. And of course, just a reminder as well too, please do drop off your votes if you've not done that yet. Your ballot, go and drop it off in the secure voting posts. There are boxes are posted around in different places. Go to the website acvote.org and find where you can drop off your ballot, and be sure to drop it off in that safe space. But please make your voice count. I voted. I had my voice. I spoke up. I shared what I thought. So I hope that everybody else takes a chance to do that. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime today. And of course, it's Her Right Foot. A very beautiful, powerful message that is in here for us today. And I hope you enjoy it in the process. Good morning to you. Ellen Edwards in Chicago. How are you doing? Thank you so much for joining in Storytime today. Good morning to you. Oh, yes, this is a Halloween costume. I am today. Yes, I am Lady Liberty today. Good morning to you. Good morning to you, Anna Lima. How are you doing? Thank you so much for joining in. Amanda West, Sarah and Nathan, how are you? Also joining us from Illinois. Good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining in. Happy Friday indeed, Anna Lima out in Evanston, Illinois. Good morning to you. Good morning to you, Amanda West, one more time, Sarah and Nathan. Heather, good morning to you. How are you doing? Bazira Sekamwa and Tusubira, how are you? Good to see you, boys. Thank you so much for joining in today. I hope you're having a lovely Friday at school. Yes, right before Halloween. Good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining in. Soraya and Sharon Lungo right here in Oakland. Good morning to you. How are you doing? Well, Soraya, great question. This book hopefully will tell you who I am by the time we're done. And I'll ask you that question at the end. Did you find out what Mr. Limada is or who Mr. Limada is, right? So Soraya, hold on, follow the story, and let's see if you'll be able to tell me. Awesome, great question. Good morning to you, Harmony Beth. Thank you so much for joining us. Good to see you back with us, and I hope you are doing okay. Good to see you. Thank you. And yes, today we have Her Right Foot. Are you ready? This one is written by Dave Eggers and pictures or illustrations by Shawn Harris. A big thank you to them, of course. And this one is being read with permission of Chronicle Books of San Francisco. Good morning to you. All right, let us get started with our story. Thank you, Harmony Beth. Happy Friday. Thank you so much. Now, I am excited to come back next week with more stories. But of course, there's a great weekend as well to enjoy in the meantime. But thank you so much, Harmony Beth. All right. Her Right Foot. Let us get started. All right. So this is Her Right Foot, written by Dave Eggers and illustrations by Shawn Harris. And it's being read with permission of Chronicle Books of San Francisco. Her right foot. What is special about her right foot? Soraya, are you getting any ideas what it is yet? You have likely heard of a place called France. If you have heard of France, you have heard of the French. They are the people who live in France. You may have also heard of something called the Statue of Liberty. Did you know that the Statue of Liberty comes from France? This is true. This is a factual book. One day, a Frenchman named Edward de la Boulaye had an idea. The idea was to celebrate the 100 years the United States of America had been around by giving them a giant sculpture. So he convinced another Frenchman, a Frenchman with an Italian name, to design the sculpture. The artist's name was Frederick Auguste Batodi. Batodi designed the statue. He first made very small models of the sculpture, then larger ones, and finally one that is the one we know, which stands 305 feet above the water. This final full-size version was covered with a thin copper skin. The skin is about as thick as 2 pennies. That is not very thick for such a large thing. And if you wanted to know, it's about that thick. Two pennies. Here is a rendering of Batodi and his team. He had a team. He did not work alone. He did not like working alone, constructing the statue's hand. Notice that the hand is bigger than these men. Thus, they made the statue in many parts. Look at that. Just look at how big it is compared to the people. These parts were assembled in New York City. No, wait. First, they were assembled in Paris. Did you know this? Ask your friends and even your teachers if they knew that before the Statue of Liberty was assembled in New York, she was first constructed in Paris. Your friends and teachers will be astounded. They will be impressed. They might think you are fibbing. But you are not fibbing. This really happened. The Statue of Liberty stood here, high above Paris, for almost a year in 1884. Did you know that? After they assembled the statue in Paris, they took it apart. But we just put it together, the workers say. This is absurd, they said. They said all this in French, the language of the French. A people who appreciate the absurd. In 1885, after they took it apart, they put the parts in 214 crates and put these crates on a boat. The boat was called the Eggers. The boat traveled over the Atlantic Ocean and made its way to a city called New York, which is in a state also called New York. And there, Hundreds of workers, perhaps 214 of them, took the pieces out of the 214 boxes, then began to rivet the pieces together. Assembling the statue took 17 months. That's almost 2 years. Took 17 months, and it all happened on what was then called Bedloe's Island. And you can see Bedloe's Island right there, and there's the rest of the places. Brooklyn. Batodi liked to see the sculpture rise above the harbor. Sometimes he watched the construction from the water. Sometimes he watched it from the land. Usually he was wearing a sturdy black hat, for he, like most European men at the time, favored sturdy black hats. You may have noticed by now that the pictures of the Statue of Liberty in this book have her colored brown. You may have thought the illustrator of this book was not so good at his job, because we all know the Statue of Liberty to be a certain greenish blue. But the Statue of Liberty was made of copper, and copper starts out brown. Then, very slowly, when left outside for long periods of time, copper will eventually oxidize. That's a big word. Find out what it means. It will oxidize, and when it does, it turns this blue-green color. So the Statue of Liberty that everyone in New York saw being constructed was actually brown. The Statue of Liberty, in fact, was brown for about 35 years. The statue turned green around 1920 and has been this color ever since. Perhaps you already knew this. And if you did not, we are learning together. And you may have known that the book the statue is carrying, the one in her left hand, features the date July 4, 1776, on which the Declaration of Independence was signed. You can see it there. July 4th, 1774. And you may know that the seven spikes on her crown represent the 7 seas of earth and the 7 continents and the sun's rays too. And you probably know that the torch she carries is a symbol of enlightenment, lightening the path to liberty and freedom. And you might have known that at one point, Thomas Edison, inventor of the light bulb and the record player, once proposed to have a giant record player inside the Statue of Liberty. He did. He wanted the statue to be able to speak. In the end, though, this idea was considered a bit strange and was not pursued. And did you know that the interior, or the inside of the statue, was designed by another Frenchman by the name of Eiffel? That's right, the same Eiffel who, a few years later, would design the Eiffel Tower. And did you know that while the statue was first being constructed in Paris, a bunch of Parisians, mostly writers, actually dined in the area just below the statue's knee. This too is true. While the statue was rising, Batodi set up a lunch for 4 stories up to impress and enthrall these French writers, who, being difficult to impress, were at least mildly amused. But there is one thing that you might not know, and this is the central point of this book. A point the author apologizes for taking so long to get to. The point is that even if you have seen a picture of the Statue of Liberty, or many pictures of the Statue of Liberty, or even hundreds of pictures of the Statue of Liberty, you probably have not seen pictures of her feet. And even if you have seen pictures of her feet, you probably have not seen pictures of the back of her feet, in particular, her right foot. What do you notice when you see this picture? There's more. What do you see? What is happening with this foot? That's right. She is going somewhere. She is on the move. And you can see it right there. But where is she going? Let's pause here and collect ourselves and think about this. Let's discuss this. Let's think about and discuss the fact that this is the largest sculpture in all the land and the most iconic symbol of the United States of America. Let's talk about the fact that this statue has welcomed millions of visitors and immigrants to the USA. People talk about her unusual headwear, not underwear, headwear. They talk about her gown, which seems a very heavy kind of garment and would likely result in serious lower back pains. They talk about her beautiful torch and the severe look on her face. But no one talks about the fact that she is walking. This 150-foot woman is on the go. Where is she going? Every time we see the Statue of Liberty in pictures, or any time we imagine the Statue of Liberty, we see her standing still, very still, like a statue. But she is moving. She weighs 450,000 pounds and wears a size 879 shoe. And she is moving. How can we all have missed this? Or even if we saw this and noticed this, how is it that we have seen and noticed a 450,000 pound human on her way somewhere and said, just another 150-foot woman walking off to 150-foot pedestal. And most important, where is she going? Is she going to Soho to get a panini? Is she going to the West Village to look for vintage Nico records? What do you think? Where is she going? No. She is facing southwest, so she is facing New Jersey. Could she be going to Trenton? Wait, no. She is facing southeast, so she is not going to New Jersey, but she is going somewhere. But where? Why is she moving? There are certain things we know. We know that around her feet are chains. They are broken chains, implying that she has freed herself from bondage. We know that Batodi wanted us to know this. He wanted us to see the chains. People have talked about the chains. But few talk about the foot that is so obviously in mid-stride. About the fact that her entire right leg is in mid-stride. What does this mean? What does this mean that we often forget about this right foot, this right leg? Here is an idea. Here is a theory. Here is a reminder. If the Statue of Liberty is a symbol of freedom, if the Statue of Liberty has welcomed millions of immigrants to the United States, then how can she stand still? Liberty and freedom from oppression are not things you get or grant by standing around like some kind of statue. No, these are things that require action, courage, and unwillingness to rest. The Statue of Liberty was not built to welcome just 1,886 immigrants from Italy on one certain Sunday in say 1886. No, she was built to welcome 3,000 immigrants from Poland the next day. The next day, 5,000 Norwegians. And after that, 10,000 Glaswegians. Then Cambodians. Then Estonians. Somalis, Nepalis, Syrians, Liberians. It never ends. It cannot end. After all, the Statue of Liberty is an immigrant too. And this is why she's moving. This is why she's striding. In welcoming the poor, the tired, the yearning to be free. She is not content to wait. She must meet them in the sea. Emma Lazarus wrote this poem to raise money for the construction of the pedestal of the Statue of Liberty, the pedestal the Statue of Liberty stands on. Now the poem is engraved and posted on the Statue of Liberty National Monument. And this is what it says. The new Colossus, not like the brazen giant of Greek fame, with conquering limbs astride from land to land. Here at our sea-washed sunset gates shall stand a mighty woman with a torch, whose flame is the imprisoned lightning, and her name Mother of the Exiles. From her beacon hand glows worldwide welcome. Her mild eyes command the air-bridged harbor that twin cities frame. Keep ancient lands, your storied pomp, cries she with silent lips. Give me your tired, your poor, your hardened masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. Yes, indeed. Give me your tired, your poor, your hardened masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed to me. The end. I hope you enjoyed that story. I absolutely did. So much great information and a great way to put it. Thank you to you, Dave Eggers and Shawn Harris, of course, for that beautiful, beautiful message. And yes, a good reminder indeed. The Statue of Liberty is an immigrant herself. And yes, she keeps welcoming everybody that is coming in. And speaking as an immigrant myself and what this land has represented for me, I absolutely appreciate the value of this. And let us keep remembering too that there are dreams, and this land represents a lot of dreams for many people. So let us, as we leave think about others and make sure that we are participating in ways that make this world a beautiful world for everybody. Yes, there are many people, many things happening in the world, and we can do our little part to make it just that little bit better. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime today, and I hope that this book was enlightening, but also, you know, just entertaining. I hope you enjoyed it as well. Thank you so much, and I'm looking forward to absolutely hearing what you thought about it, and of course, enjoying your day as you go on. Keep shining that light, and of course, keep being those torch bearers, and absolutely our actions matter. What we do echoes in eternity. So you might think that what you're doing is not important. Well, think again. It is absolutely important. Our voices matter. Our actions matter. We have our little ones that are coming up that we need to take care of and make sure that we're leaving them a beautiful place, a safe place, a just place, a place of love and honor. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime today. Let us see who else joined in for that beautiful story today, that beautiful lesson. Absolutely. Good morning to you. Patricia Mugamia, thank you so much for joining us. Good morning to you. Antonio and Davi, Maria Antonia, how are you doing today? Good morning to you. All right, Chriselle, Rocco and Clay, how are you doing out in LBC today? Good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining in. I hope you enjoyed that story. Joseph Tauza, how are you? And Kate, how are you doing today? Good morning to you both. Thank you so much for joining in. Maria Antonia, one more time. And Antonia, good morning to you. Thank you for joining in. Patricia Mugamia, one more time. Good morning to you. How are you? All the way out in Zambia. Good morning to you. Lydia Yamaguchi, thank you for the costume. Absolutely appreciate it and love it. Thank you. And yes, appropriate message indeed to go with our book today. Thank you so much. Great work. Maria, good morning to you. And of course, good morning to you, Damien Kahinya. Chavala Jere, good morning to you. How are you doing? Please, Chavala, let us know where you are. Are you in Zambia or somewhere else? Good morning to you. Thank you so much. Ali May, good morning to you. Good to see you. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime today. Lydia Yamaguchi, one more time. Good morning. Chavala Jere, you say you are joining us with Yamikani. Yes, Yamikani. How is Yelesani as well from Lusaka, Zambia? Good morning to you. Thank you for the reminder. Absolutely good to see you here. Chris Wheeler, troublemaker, how are you doing today? Harry, good morning to you. Good to see you here. And of course, a big hug to you, Captain. How are you doing today? Harmony Beth, you say, please tell the folks that actually take a boat out to visit the Lady Liberty. If you do go to New York, absolutely, please do go and visit this iconic place. Thank you so much, Harmony Beth. Absolutely. And Chris Wheeler, stop it. Good morning to you one more time. Chris Wheeler says, Peter always forgets about his left foot while playing soccer. All right, Natasha, how are you doing today? Good morning to you. Natasha Nadu Allen, how are you? Thank you for joining in. Please let us know who joined in with you and where you joined us from. Thank you so much. Lydia Yamaguchi, good morning to you. Anna Lima, how are you? One more time. I hope you enjoyed this one. That has been her right foot. I hope you enjoyed that one indeed. Ross Collins, Jack from Portland, good morning to you. How are you doing? I hope you enjoyed that great story and indeed the great message, a reminder for us all. Thank you so much. It is indeed Halloween, Maria Antonia. Thank you so much. Tendai Chineva, Ian and Ethan, how are you doing out in LA? Thank you for joining us. I hope you enjoyed that beautiful book today. Thank you so much. Chavala Jere, one more time. Yelesani, Chikondi, and Malaika are doing great. Thank you. Well, I am glad you're doing well. Thank you so much for joining in today. Absolutely great to see you. Thank you. Have yourselves a good weekend. Enjoy it. Much love to all of you. Thank you so much for joining in Story Time. And Chavala, you say we loved it. We learned a lot too. Absolutely. Learning never ends. And that is the beauty with books, because we can keep putting that knowledge, getting that knowledge, consuming that knowledge together. And it is indeed great to be here and share great stories and learn together. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime. Happy Halloween to everybody. And of course, have a great Friday and enjoy your Saturday, your Sunday, your weekend. If you're resting, please do rest. Take care of yourself. And hugs to everybody around you. Much love from me as always. I will see you when we're back next week with another story on Monday. Exciting stories are coming up. We have a great lineup. Please do join in and see those stories with us. Share them with us. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime. Please remember, do your part. Vote if you can. If you can't vote, find ways in which you can participate. Phone banking or other ways that we can do. And of course, life does not end with the election. Even after the election, there are many things that you can still do to make this world a better place. Play your part. Thank you so much. Absolutely love being here. It is an honor to be here every morning with you and read beautiful stories. Much love, and I will see you in the morning on Monday. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.